Hello and welcome to the Eddy Rex commentary. I'm Shannen, one of your producers, directors, and writers.
I am Nicole, of course, the other producer, director, and writer. That shot was just so formative.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a better way to start this.
The pan down from the rules with the no gavel, just straight to the gavel. I mean, it's foreshadowing. It's great.
Let's talk about the detail put into this set. Most of the show is in this classroom.
That is true. So we did put a lot of thought into the set dressing. As you can see, there's the posters. Of course, the inspirational Ryan Lochte message, one of the greatest minds of our generation, and then the motto of one of the most prominent religious organizations in the nation at this moment. We were so lucky to have Casey Cole on board, such a prolific actress.
Oh, yes.
Very, very talented. I mean, always a pleasure to work with her.
Everyone in this show, so talented, so lucky to have them. So all of Casey's material was filmed in one day. I mean, she came in and she did it. She did the work, and that's what's so great about Casey. David and Amanda.
Oh, yes. I mean, I was so happy to have Amanda back. You know, I've worked with her in the past, and she always brings a certain vibrancy to the role that I don't think anybody else could really portray.
And David's just so genuine.
Ian's entrance here was just, you know, such a pivotal moment because it sets the tone.
Well, and we changed it in editing. This whole monologue wasn't even originally in it until after we wrote the sides.
That is true.
And then we decided to give Ian a monologue. And then originally this was supposed to happen a little bit later in the scene. But I remember in editing you decided it was better.
I did make that decision because I thought, you get a really good introduction to Ian as a person. Like, what makes him tick?
Yeah.
And that way when he walks in, we already know a little bit about him. We know where he's coming from. I think we know his motivation. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the most important thing about character.
I think so too, yeah.
And the pacing of this show, it's so tight. When we had to keep it that way.
Yeah.
There are practically like hundreds of deleted scenes, maybe even thousands. Hours of content.
We really honed it down to the essentials here.
Yeah.
Now, actually, listeners, we have the distinct pleasure of letting you know that we actually have one of our actors with us here today.
Yes.
One of the breakout stars. You just saw her there. She actually played Ismini. Sarah?
Can you say hello?
Hello.
Now, can you tell us about filming this montage? You lost few of your limbs there, almost.
Yes, it was a very dangerous stunt.
You do all of your stunt work?
No. I normally work with a very great stunt team. However, the budget was so low for this particular production. We used a straw man, if you will.
Right.
Or more like a flower baby.
Which did excellent work.
Yeah.
Looked exactly like you. It was
CGI. Oh, this is very important.
This is a very important scene where we see, Cassie, Joe, and Eddie really coming together as a couple. And of course, Tyrese is dealing with the difficult decision because he does know the truth. And do you reveal the truth or do you keep it to yourself because you know that everyone will be happier? I mean, it's one of the deepest themes throughout the show, I think. And
truth.
The way that Anthony, showed that conflict, that inner conflict, I think he just really nailed it.
What's going on here?
I gotta say, Nick's expressions in this scene in particular when he's not speaking are very good. I would recommend keeping an eye on him throughout it.
He was just always on, always in the scene. You could tell he was just there at all times. It was a joy to watch, really.
He really got the subtleties of Creepy Ian. Creepy Ian's one of the most subtle characters in the show. I don't know if all the viewers got it, but we were trying to imply that Creepy Ian was gay.
Yeah, there's a lot of, homoerotic undertones. We tried, not to make it too obvious, but Just like a subtle thread so that you could, see that's another thing that he's struggling with, because of course he's friends with Eddy, but also his feelings for Eddy are complicating the situation, watching Eddy with Cassie. Does he want Eddy to be happy with Cassie, or does he want it to not work out between them, because then, he might also have a shot.
It's tragic. It's a tragedy.
It is a tragedy.
So many stories like this are.
So a little bit more about the Ismini costume. We actually used the owl footy pajamas were, as many of the things in this show were Easter eggs to our other shows.
Because it's Easter.
It is Easter. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Oh, we did that so many times.
We really did. We had
perfect
hours of deleted footage of that.
Yeah, one of the few times that we had to make a lyric just keep going. It just wasn't perfect.
It's really pressing and pressing.
Yeah. This is one of the biggest exposition scenes.
It was very difficult to write this scene as well, because you don't want to overload the people with information, but you have to give a full idea of what Eddy's going through. And Greek tragedies in general are very expositionary in nature because of the time, place, and action unities. So much of the original play actually is exposition.
I said earlier that the show almost takes place entirely in the classroom. Oedipus the King, the original play, takes place entirely in the throne room. That's another thing where we tried to keep it, as close to the original as possible.
True to what Sophocles would have wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
This sleeping bag shot was really inspired. Shannon, you want to tell us about that?
Oh, yeah. I did it so many times. I believe I did that one day before everyone had arrived. There was a lot of working with the set designer, figuring out how exactly the sleeping bag and the gavel should be positioned and everything. And just, working with the cinematographer to get the perfect shot with the perfect timing. It was difficult, but I think the one that we chose was really perfect.
On Blairstone Road.
Now, Blairstone Road, that's another reference.
Another very, very subtle Easter egg.
Yeah, only subtleties here.
The blowing of the gun was actually an improvised move by Alaric. A very bold choice, but we really liked the direction.
We barely had to give Alaric any direction. Oh, that set design, just so choice.
The window, yeah. Now,
Jeff.
Of course, Jeffrey Mandel, really what is a remarkable, singular, curious production without him?
He's
really the John Ratzenberger of our production company, if you will.
Parallel. So quintessential.
He is, and
we were
lucky
to get him.
Yeah, we were very lucky to get him. He actually came all the way from Tallahassee just to be in the show. For those of you who are not familiar with Floridian geography, that's about a 4.5 hour drive. So very committed team we have here.
One of the best Greek chorus moments.
Yeah.
The Greek chorus is a device from ancient plays, mostly used to narrate. So we decided that a cappella group was really the best way to go for the modernization.
It draws people in, I think. The music really connects with people.
Now, Nicole, can you talk to us about Carly Rae's performance?
So, yes, Carly Rae was one of our favorite guest stars that we were able to snag at the last second. We really couldn't see anyone else in the role. Carly Rae Jepsen, of course, for those of you who don't know, played Mrs. Shepard.
We were filming, what was that? Was it the Oscars?
The Oscars was one of the weekends, so I think she was quite busy with that.
A lot of
flying back and forth. We've talked about the travel that was involved in people coming to the show,
of the budget went to travel.
I will say Carly Rae probably traveled the most. She was incredibly dedicated to come to us, and actually Alaric was the one who did the age makeup on Carly Rae, making her almost unrecognizable.
So now this was the first shot that we did.
This was the first shot that we did with Alaric.
Yes.
We had done some other things, but we brought Alaric in, and this was the first scene we did with the two of them.
Nailed it immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, this is one of my favorite moments. Again, subtlety is key. So Allie, good friend of the show, walks in, looks at it, decides she's not going to deal with this shit today. And I just think that's so indicative.
Yeah, it really is, because there's just such a tension in the room, and I think everyone can feel it. And just showing her come in and then leave, it just shows that sometimes it's too much to handle, you know.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with removing yourself from that situation.
And that's a really important lesson for teenagers in particular to learn. And I think we can safely say that this is a show aimed at teenagers. About teenagers.
Definitely. Really trying to connect to the youth. I mean, what we're really all about is, you know, bringing this ancient masterpiece to a modern young audience and just really connecting it to them.
Oh, the lighting in this scene was so difficult to deal with.
It really was. A lot of clouds moving, and
we
our
filmed
lighting
on
team
location.
really had to just constantly readjust. It was a bit difficult.
Especially for such an emotional scene, one of the most emotional scenes of the show.
Another really, really subtle,
So subtle.
Easter egg here to the Great Tarmac Road, of course, another important masterpiece by one of our colleagues.
You know, I think we can safely say that our motto when making this show was subtlety.
Yes, definitely. There's a lot of themes that are pretty universal, so I think it comes across without having to throw it in your face.
Yeah. Now, I did want to talk about, we're almost at the end, the episode titles, because again, I think subtlety is the word
subtlety.
we use to describe this.
We wanted to tie in, I mean, of course, Cassie and Eddie being siblings, we were thinking, you know, I mean, incest, it is a huge theme of this play and this show, so...
Yeah, we wanted to call back to other similar relationships in other shows. So you might, if you pay attention to the episode's titles, realize
if you really look closely, you can see there's some really thin ties to some
Now again, this scene, so subtle.
Yeah.
Oh, and Alark just knocked it away with that impression.
If you didn't pick up on it, it actually was a callback to Star Wars, the scene where Luke finds out that Darth Vader is his father. Of course, Eddie is finding out that Mr. Elias is his father.
Now, this was a difficult scene to film. All the timing of all the extras. You know, extras are very difficult to work with. It's very difficult to get extras coordinated, and then they often get bored. It's a lot of sitting around on a film set. You know,
Definitely.
While we set up shots. Get costumes, practice lines. But yeah, all the extras in this scene just knocked it out of the park.
The reactions are so crucial here. I mean, you really have to feel the gravity of what Eddie is saying.
I mean, it's the climax of the show. These lines are almost exact from the play.
We did want to pull some of the original text just to really hone in on, I mean, Eddie blinding himself is a direct callback to Oedipus blinding himself. And he really was blind all along to the information. It's a metaphor that not everybody picks up on, but I really think it's important to Eddie's character. Now, we were talking earlier about the very tight budget. We actually, you may not pick up on it, but the sunglasses that Eddie is wearing, we actually reused from the sunglasses that we gave to Tyrese.
And then returned them.
It's really big budget expense, so when you're able to do that, it's very helpful to keep that budget really tight.
This was a fun montage to film.
Very fun, yeah.
It was just us and Alark. No, not even any crew. So one of the last things we did, and it was Alark's idea to put the shirt on backwards.
That was inspired, really, inside out.
Nice touch, yeah.
Shannon, you want to talk about the editing of this montage? Because I think you did a really nice job there.
It was, I mean, again, hours of footage. Mm-hmm. You know, it took a long time to pick out those best moments, the most thematically resonant moments as well, you know. Eddie falling over in the hallway, showing his struggle.
His fall from power, you might say.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's really what this show is about, you know. I mean, it's about a lot of things, like family, love, power.
Friendship.
Yeah, and, like, what it means to lose those things. Yeah. Or in some cases, gain them for the first time.
This hand scene is one of the most touching moments in the show, I would say.
It was really hard to get it right.
Get it just right.
We did it over and over again because we just wanted to make sure that, like, it was as powerful as possible.
Yeah.
Again, Nick just giving a wonderful performance in the background, even when he has no lines.
Always 100%.
Again, I urge you to pay attention to him. Now, Nicole, do you think that Eddy actually blinded himself?
It's really an eternal question. I mean, we really wanted to leave it up to viewer interpretation. It's very vague because is it a more powerful metaphor that he just feels that he is blind because he feels the weight of everything
if
that
anything,
he did?
Him pretending to be blind is more indicative that he has learned his lesson than if he had actually blinded himself.
The framing of this shot, I'm really a fan.
We were really trying to call back
white space between them, just the emptiness, the
and
separation.
Stephen Inks, who he originally defeated, sitting right there.
That is true.
It was really, and it's also really a callback to Dead Poets Society, a classic film. You know, Robin Williams.
I'm going to take good care
This is really where you see the first indication that Creepy Ian may not be who we think he is, and
things are going to be good.
you know, that's really a theme that we want to explore in our sequel.
Well, you never know.
I shouldn't talk about that.
Yeah, we all want it to happen.
You'll see.
Everyone wants it to happen. It's just a matter of scheduling.
Scheduling is just so
difficult. How it is. Well, thank you for joining
Thank you for joining us. It's been a real pleasure. Happy Easter, everyone.
Happy
I hope
Easter.
that you have a wonderful day, and keep an eye out because we actually are up for several awards
several
right
awards,
now.
several festivals, you know. You never know.
Really
where we
making
might
the
show up.
circuits. You'll see.
Yeah.
But thank you for listening.
Thank you. Good night.